Well, this is Professor Kim Nelson with the Jewelry Design Department at the Fashion Institute of Technology. Continuing our tutorial on presets for the bypass ring. I have my setting kit. Now I'm going to do my layout. For now, I'm going to put all these on the blue layer just so I can maximize my layer usage. So, here's my mounting. I'm going to lay the stones out along here, and I'm going to do them on the flat surface to begin with, the pre-flow surface. There are two of those in this model. There's the one I had originally, and then the small cap that I modified to fit better. I'm going to need them both for this project. It's probably going to do me well to just trim off the end of this one, the pink, so that I don't make any mistakes in the future between the two. So I'll duplicate that edge and use it to trim off the pink cap there. That'll simplify things. In fact, there's no reason why that should not be joined together and used as one piece for this portion. I'm going to bring up my top view. I created the layout very early on in my drawing. It's worth talking about what I considered at that time, even though you've already had it in a previous video. Here are my 1.2 millimeter stones. Okay, they are being spaced apart between 1.15 and 0.2 millimeters. I can't recall which I set these at, so I'll just measure 0.15. Okay. So I've set these at roughly 0.15 millimeters. There's a center line to lay the stones along. The edge of the tray these stones will set in is 0.07 millimeters from the edge of the girdles themselves. And the length of this at each end was fairly arbitrary. I just decided what I thought would be nice. You have to have enough room to fit a bead in these corners. And you'll recall our beads are pretty good sized. So this actually may not be substantial enough. It might be worthwhile to extend this out a little bit. Just going to extend that center line by arc to point and give myself a little more length. My beads are 0.5 millimeter at the girdle, so I can actually put in an outline of what that looks like. And you can see I can't really have these really crowding the stones very much. They're going to be fine in here. That's about what we're going to want. Okay? But out here, we're going to want something like that. And that's not going to give us enough room. So, both sides, curve perpendicular. And I'll check this end while I'm at it. Once again, I could use a little more room over here. Okay. So I just modified that drawing layout a little bit to accommodate a little more room at the ends. Fill it. And remember, as far as modeling hygiene, it's always important to know if you have poly curves or not. I'm going to explode this, and look, see, it broke it into 3 segments. I don't want 3 segments, I want 1, so I'm going to rebuild it. 8-4 is fine. I'm not really particular. I'll give it 12. I'm going to assume this is the same situation, and that once again this is the same situation. I'm going to trim off the ends of those curves, and I've modified my drawing layout. I'll join the frame together, the outer frame, and this is ready now to be transferred onto my metal. That's fairly easy for me to do. I'll bring in my flat flow piece, and I will take all of these curves and I'll simply project them onto surface using the top C-plane as the projector. Delete input, we want no. Select my, and I have it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put these back on the green original top view layer. And I have the starting of my stone layout. I'm going to need to put curves that I can use as a rail for positioning my stone down the center line here. And the easiest way to, there are a couple of options that I have. The one I'm going to choose is going to seem very radical, but I promise you it isn't. I'm going to select these and I'm going to trim away everything else. And then I'm going to do Analyze, Mass Properties, Area Centroid. Do it 4 times for all of these. I'm going to select these 4 points. And I'm going to copy them to clipboard. And I'm going to undo. Until I have my main part back. And then I'm going to Control V, paste. Okay, that's one way to do it. There are several ways. I could have trimmed these curves, used a midpoint, and then got the points, copied them out, undo, and then paste back in. The main thing that's going to be hard to escape is the need to establish these points, copy them out, and then undo what you did to get the points, because there's really it's very difficult to come up with a non-destructive way of doing this. You could make spheres and mark their center point, but that's, once again, for me this was quick and easy. So, line. Normal. Normal radiates the line perpendicular from a surface. Pick my object, pick the point, and the direction tells me of the surface, tells me if I want to set the length of this, whether to type in a positive or negative number. I do want to establish a length. I would like to have like 3 millimeters. I'll type in -3. Repeat the command, normal, point, -3. Repeat the command, normal, select the surface, point, -3. Repeat the command, normal, select the surface, point, -3. I could have done -2. The number there isn't critical. It's just I want to have enough wire that I can get a hold of it. I'm going to now grab my stone and the cutter. And I'm going to do a transform, orient 2 points, copy equals yes, scale equals no. And my first point is going to be that center point equal with the girdle. And the second point can be the top of this curve, for example. Anything vertically above it will do. Target point 1. Point, end, point, end, point, end, and enter when done, or escape. Oftentimes in Rhino commands, if they're in the middle of a copy option, you have to escape to get out of them. And you can see we've now lined up our stones on the surface. Before I go any further, it's important to me to verify what happens when these flow. If their distances become closer together, I need to change my whole drawing. So I want to know that now. I'm going to grab the 4 stones. Transform, flow along curve. The flat base curve is here. I want rigid equals yes. I don't want it to warp my stones. Okay, and look at what happened. Okay, that is critical to see. Because that's obviously not appropriate. These stones have to be 0.15 millimeters apart. So, I have to give some thought how to solve that problem. Always, as usual, a number of options we can use. Perhaps the easiest one would be to change the location of the flow curve so that it more closely approximates our stone layout. To do that, bring back my mounting and offset my target curve through point until it comes about the elevation of my surface. And analyze the length of that. .962. Also offset this curve a similar distance. Okay. This will be the wrong length, but it will be the the right height. So I'm going to change it to a different layer so I'll be able to delete it once I move the proper length into position. Okay, that's the proper length. Delete this, bring these back. Okay, so I'm going to try again. My 4 stones. Flow along curve. Okay, that certainly gives me better spacing. That spacing might actually be too large at this point. Analyze radius. Diameter is 0.192. Okay, so we're close. We're close. Want to compare how that fits into the surface. See, it's actually burying them into that surface a little bit as well. So that's the problem with approaching it from this direction, is that you lose a certain amount of precision in getting what you want. I'm going to do this with history. I don't want to give up on this approach because it's the easiest approach to get this just right for me. If I move this curve up just a little bit, it will bring them down in, which is the opposite of what I want to have happen. Now I'm getting some distortion. This stone's burying itself more than the others. And my stones are also not lining up with the piece the way they should. Okay, all of that means that I can't use this approach. Okay, so it was worth a try. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to array my stones in location. And then from there establish the drawing and model in situ. So it's a challenge because I'm working on a sloped surface. If this had been a flat-topped piece of surfacing, I could have done a very predictable job. But because it's sloping like this on a very organic surface, it's a little trickier. I'm going to pause this video and we'll pick it up on the next one. Thanks for watching.